Let's get rolling. 2024 is here. Thank you all for coming to this Fieldwork Kickoff. Um, as I said, half of us just got off of an airplane, and so we're going to try to summon all of the strength and excitement that we've had for weeks and months leading up to this event. We know that we're gonna say some stuff that all of you who've been waiting for this already know, but bear with us. We're gonna try to be welcoming to the brand new people, and then we're also going to tell you exactly how to get to work, and we're gonna try to sprinkle that throughout the entire presentation. If you ever have to drop off for one reason or another, everything's going to be on our website. You go to commonpower.org and go to the Fieldwork tab. That Get to Work page is now updated and refined with the single document that you need. We're going to start with this, actually. Let's start with this. This is it. If you came for one thing and you're like, listen, I don't want anybody preaching to me tonight. Okay, I'm just here for the action items. We're going to start with that. Ben, what is the one thing people need?
Okay, well, they are going to need to check out this document that we are going to put into the chat right now. And that has all of our travel dates. So that's both tentative and final, especially for the state teams that are going to be active today, starting today. North Carolina, Texas, Ohio. Their primaries are in March, and we're going to get rolling. But it also has states that we're planning on participating throughout the year, and then like a little bit of a preview to like what the general election season might look like in terms of traveling and planning door knocking. Because we know that's like you got to do that ahead of time. So if nothing else, bookmark this. It is a living document. We will update it as we go. This used to be the mark your calendar stock. So truly it has been updated.
Yes.
So, all right.
So I just wanted to start with that because we have a bias for action. We do. We're going to talk about our values here. We're going to talk about what makes us different from other organizations, how we do the work on the ground. For those of you who are curious about that, and also some of you just want to get to work immediately. And so I wanted to drop that in the chat. We're going to keep dropping that in the chat throughout. So if you're missing this one or you want to hear some more and you're not ready to buy yet, pass on this for now, hear a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Let's jump on some slides. Free to ask where we're going to post this for either you to refer to or for anybody else. We're going to drop it on our YouTube channel. If you're getting to know us or if you've heard about something that happened at Common Power that was one of these Zoom events, you can go to YouTube and it'll be there. The recording will be there along with a bunch of other fun videos for you to share with people who are just getting to know us. This is a live in action image of us knocking on doors. And this is one of the rare occasions where we use a paper map. And you can see that the young people have no idea what they're looking at because it's not digital. I'm joking. That's not what's going on. It's folks working across difference, race, age. It's a beautiful thing. This is what we do at Common Power in every state where we knock on doors. This is the Fieldwork team. This team is responsible for all the work that you're seeing, that you're going to see on these slides here. These are the people that you're going to see out in the field. If you are opting into leadership of like volunteer leadership role, these are the folks who are going to train you. It's their thoughts, it's their strategies, it's their partnerships that they've negotiated that are on these slides, and I'm super proud of them. I'll let the leader of that department introduce her team. Ben.
Hey y'all. This is actually the first time that we've had like the Fieldwork team on a slide like this all together with what we're doing. So it's actually really exciting to see how we're tackling this year. So I'm Ben, I run Fieldwork, and with me are my amazing team. So we have Maria, who's here right now as MJ. And Maria will be doing all of the volunteer training. If you attend our volunteer training series, engaging with voters, intro, travel, she will be there along with other people to help you guide you through the process. And she's taking point on our work in Washington this year as well. And then Puya, if you have traveled with us, you have seen Puya. That's it. That's all I need to know. Like that, like he's gone through various phases with his hair, but he's unmistakable. Look at that intensity, right? Because that's what he channels when he leaves people on the ground. So
They're just introducing
Puya
our
with
new
the state
volunteer
teams
leaders this year.
and political analysis.
How do I
And actually, I'm going to pause real quick. So a bit of housekeeping. Please mute if you haven't already. And then please feel free to use the chat as well with any comments or questions, and we'll get to them either in there or we'll pull it up as we go along, or we'll address it at the end. But we really appreciate you. This room is huge. There's 193 of us. So let's keep that. Let's be mindful of that. Thank you very much. All right, and then last but definitely not least is Jessica Louie. You have seen her emails, you have seen her blast. Like she runs remote operations and engaging people through our events, both in person and remote. So here we are, and we're ready.
And I will be chiming in here. I actually spoke already. I'll be chiming in here, here and there. Fieldwork has been my baby since the very beginning. My name is Charles Douglas. I'm the executive director of Common Power. And back in 2018, when we were just inventing how to do this, some of you in this room, in this Zoom room right now, are with me inventing how people from Seattle make change all around the country. And now we have turned it into what I think is the preeminent system for attracting, catalyzing, training, and mobilizing volunteers in the country. That's what I believe. So we are volunteers for voters. That's what we focus on more than anything else. We do a lot of great education here at Common Power. Some of you come to us from the Institute for Common Power. And the Institute's sole goal is to get you all over to us. That's what they're really trying to do. And they do it so well, led by Dr. Terry Ann Scott, and David Domke is a big part of that. Their entire motivation is to get you all over to us so that we can go and do this.
Where are you going to Alabama? Where are you going, man?
So this is great. So we just got Zoom bombed by David Domke on a cell phone with about 1 bar of reception.
Sorry about that. Talking to Sam. Sorry
Yeah,
about that.
sure. He's got bad reception. He's not inebriated. He gave a great lecture last night, and we crashed the beginning of his lecture. He's paying us back for that. David, come back when you get some better reception, man, towards the end. And we'll do some Q&A and stuff. Let's go next. All right. So this is really simple. We take action in various ways. With Common Power, we're going to have a lot of remote opportunities. In fact, we're going to have a team that's going to be leading this, the remote opportunity stuff. I will tell you that the focus of this presentation is to talk about door knocking. And obviously that previous slide was a bunch of airplanes flying out of Seattle. During COVID, a lot of things changed for us, and a lot of organizations got really good at doing remote work. What we've found is that many of those organizations kept doing remote work and got really, really good at it. And even the ones that used to do door knocking stopped doing it or minimized it or didn't go back to it. We went back to it fully. And so I'm a huge fan of all of us in this ecosystem doing what we're best at the most, so that we complement each other in the system. And the things that's one of the hardest things for organizations to commit to is sending people into the field. And because we have figured out how to do it really well, we're gonna stay in our lane and our expertise and allow other folks to do the other things really well. Now, we're still gonna offer these phone banking and text banking, postcarding opportunities, because one, it's really good practice to stay engaged civically. Two, it's great community building tool for us. Three, we do think it does make a difference. It's 7 touches. 7 touches is what it takes to turn a voter out. And that's the same for marketing anything, for selling any idea to anybody. A customer takes 7 touches, and we think that door knocking is the one that Common Power does best. So join us for that. That's what this is going to be about largely. Okay. I'm going to invite Ben to come back. Ben, you look like you've got the thought bubbles coming up.
I think that's just how I normally look.
Is that how you, like you're in deep in thought? I think you're right.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So, um, this is how we feel work. And of course, as a volunteer, phone banking, text banking, postcarding, even door knocking, you can do that with a lot of different organizations, directly with the campaigns even, right? But this is how we do it. And this is what sets us apart. We do it in teams, in community, and with local partners. And you can see by the pictures here, like how that is manifested on the ground. In teams literally meaning, we're going to talk a lot about state teams in a little bit, how we organize volunteers around a single state and taking action in that way. But we also are in teams when we take action. So that's when we canvas as well. In community, right? We have community sessions. It looks like debriefs. It looks like how we structure our cars when we're on the ground, and with local partners, because we are deeply cognizant of the fact that we're out-of-state volunteers. So we must follow the lead of our partners because they have the strategy, the know-how, and the path forward with this, because they'll be there when we're gone, and they have been there. So this is how we do field work at
Yeah,
CP.
can we pause on that for 1 second? I just want to make clear that we rely on local organizations to determine our on-the-ground tactics. We don't have a think tank at Common Power who is thinking of how to tell people in Georgia how to win in Georgia, or people in Wisconsin how to draw maps, or which neighborhoods to knock on. We don't do that. Now there's some partnerships where they trust us so much, and we've spent so many years on the ground, like in Wisconsin, where they ask us our opinion. But we are not in the practice of telling local organizations how to win their elections. We believe it's important for them to own that. They're the ones, like Ben said, they're the ones who are going to own the consequences of that election afterwards. And we don't think a bunch of people from Seattle or wherever we're coming from have the right to tell folks on the ground how to do the work. It's their fight. It's their fight, and we're helping them as guests. All right.
All right. So as Ben mentioned just in the previous slide, we usually a lot of the time we gather and mobilize our volunteers around state teams. So we bring people in the community and take action in and around a state team. So this is specifically around in-person and on-the-ground action. We will get into how you can get involved remotely with us, but this is more about how can you travel, how can you take action in person in 2024.
Good, I'm here.
Hi, Greg. So here is our criteria for choosing our general election states. So we're taking 4 main factors into account when we decide whether it makes sense for us to have a state team in the general election. First is electoral impact. As many of you know, Common Power has a national focus. One of our driving forces is to pass a new Voting Rights Act, and that requires us to focus beyond just Washington State and also realize which elections make the most impact, especially federally. So that's point number 1. Number 2 is field margin. That's the terminology that a lot of campaign and organization use when the canvassers and volunteers and folks on the ground who are door knocking and reaching out to voters make the margin of victory. So let's say if a campaign or a race is won by 1,000 votes, often the campaign says that was a field margin because they believe through their voter outreach efforts, they made that difference. That doesn't mean that's the only matter or that's the only factor that contributed to their victory, but that's what really made the difference, especially close to the election. That's what we want to be, the full margin in those close elections. So our strategy is to find the closest elections for us that we know we can make an impact on and have an influence. Third point is partnership. I don't have to go into too much detail because Ben and Charles just mentioned how important local partnership is to us. And a lot of times these partnership, like our partnership in Wisconsin with the Wisnams, has grown over 6 years. And we want to do the same in other states where we know we're going to go back and work with the partners, people who know how to win in those states. So we take into account what sort of partnership we have in a state. And last point is long-term investment. There are some states that we know we're not going to win immediately, but it's worth investing in and going back again and again. And there are certain candidates that we know might be more of a long shot, but we know these are the right candidates that align with our values and goals and the America that we want to see. So we're going
Puya, we can't hear you.
you can
Hey Puya, yeah, you're just a little quiet, man. Speak up a little bit for folks. But
Oh.
while we're cutting in here, so I just want to these four things. These are not all things that check off every single one of these states. These are four things that are major considerations for us, and these are things that are not unique to our organization. Electoral impact. Everyone's trying to make impact for the presidential. Everyone knows that we've got to protect Senate seats. We've got to flip state legislatures. We've got to win House seats. We've got to get the House back. People know that. That's a fact. Field margin stuff. These are things where we understand we're a smaller organization, but we're nimble and we're fast, and we can mobilize people quicker than other large organizations. So it's taking these like layers and adding additional layers underneath them. The partnership piece, it's not just folks that we've gotten used to working with. What we understand is that when you do something super complex, like bring dozens of volunteers from Washington State up, to any of these states, it is a big logistical lift. When we land, folks want to get to work immediately. And the strength of our partnerships on the ground will determine how effective you can be as a volunteer. There are some times there's been times where we've landed and folks run out of literature, or they didn't know we had this many people coming and they weren't ready to facilitate our work. And so we've looked out for developing partnerships in advance, ensuring that we only partner with organizations who can handle our volume and understand that what our needs are going to be logistically on the ground. Those are the kinds of things that we look for and then invest in long term. And those are some of the points that you were mentioning, Puya.
Yeah, thanks, Charles. I'm sorry if y'all had trouble hearing me, but I'll try to talk louder, so it's a little bit better and stand a little bit closer to the laptop so it's coming through clearly.
Cool.
So that is for our general election. But this year in 2024, we're also going to be involved in the primary election. So the highlighted states over here are the states we have chosen to be involved in during the primary season. Not all of these states, as many of you know, have their primary at the same time. So it's going to be sprinkled throughout the first 8 months of the year. We'll show a visual and all the dates later on, but keep that in mind. But here are the criteria that we're taking into account to decide whether it makes sense for us to get involved in the primary election of any of these states. Number one is create or solidify partnerships. Charles just put it really well about the importance of how having a strong partner makes a difference for us on the ground. And some of these states, common power haven't been to before, like Ohio, let's say, or there's some partnerships that we had, but they did not work out well for us. So we are using this opportunity in the primary to go to some of these states to create or solidify our partnerships. So in the general, we know we have the right partner and we have a relationship with them. So in turn, we can be more effective and volunteers can be more effective. Second point is volunteer engagement. This year is going to be hectic, chaotic, and folks are looking for opportunities to get involved. So this is a really good time for our folks to get involved, build momentum around great candidates that we will be supporting again in the general as well. And in some states, there are going to be specific elections and ballot initiatives, things like that, that are a little bit more unique. So it's going to be a way for us to get involved. And the third point is team list training. As if you remember the previous slide, there were a bunch of different states that were highlighted. We have more than a dozen states. And it's going to be a lot of moving pieces. So this is a really good opportunity for our team leads to get trained, to get some experience under more relaxed conditions, and be ready for the general season. So
Yeah. Just one more point. Carrie George just dropped another good point in the chat that if you contact a voter in their primary, they're more likely to vote in the general. And we know that on the left, that's our biggest issue is turnout. It's not getting folks to change their minds. It's getting the folks who believe the same thing we believe to the polls. On a side note, Carrie George has been with Common Power since the very beginning. She currently still, leads Team Wisconsin and is in contact with the Wisconsin Democrats. She is one of our most experienced volunteers. And if you folks have any questions, I think Carrie would be open to, after this. I'm putting you out there, Carrie. Would be open to answering any questions you might have about what it's like to volunteer, or even if you're considering becoming a team lead with us.
I'd love to answer questions. So anybody feel free to get in touch.
Yes. Very cool. Okay. And then we can pass along Carrie's info too after this if she's up for it. Let's go next.
So here is the map of the general season for us in 2024. And these are the highlighted states that we're going into. And in each of the states, if you see there's either P, S, H, or L. And those are referring to the election that's going to happen, and it's going to be competitive in that state. So P will be the presidential, S will be the Senate, House will be the US House, and L is the state legislature. North Carolina has a G because it's the only governor race that's going to be competitive, but that's going to be unique in North Carolina. So this is to show you the level of complexity that we're trying to look into, and to show you that we are taking into account all these different races that are coming up. You're probably hearing about them on the news, you're reading about them on social media and different platforms and media. So we are taking a staggered approach to be as effective as possible, and whenever we go to the state, to try to impact as many elections as possible. That is not entirely up to us, because our partners need to also be working and coordinating with different campaigns. But if the opportunity is there, we will try our best to make the most impact on these elections across the country. And something to just mention, there are some states that have, for example, an H1 or H2 on them. For example, Iowa or Illinois. That doesn't mean we're not doing any work in those elections or in those states. It just means we are not building a state team around them. Building a state team around any state is going to take a lot of infrastructure around team leads, around coordination with partners. So we will be doing remote work in all states that have competitive elections. It just simply means that we're not going to have volunteers moving and traveling to that state.
Yeah, and the other thing is that this is a snapshot today, given the state of the maps in each of these states and the laws, et cetera, candidates moving up and down. This will change over the next few months. We will reprioritize. Some of these states will become more important for one reason or another. And so watch the Common Power website. It will be more and more focused towards field work and this kind of discussion as the year goes on. Somebody asked about if we what happens if we reach a conservative voter at the door, and I thought that'd be a good opportunity just to note what we believe the name Common Power stems from. It's because we think that the most common power that we all should have is the power of the vote, and that many folks on the left don't have it. And that's where we find ourselves very firmly on one side when it comes to parties in this country. But anytime that I've encountered somebody like that at a door, I've thanked them for being a voter. And the other side of that is that, anybody here who's volunteered with us will tell you, the conservatives on the other side of the door will tell us thank you for doing the work actually too. And it's a really good reminder that we are closer together as a country than the news would have us believe.
Real quick, Puya, before we've got some questions in the chat about like what the colors signify, if you want to just like to talk to that real quick.
Yeah, I just saw that. Thanks, Ben. So this can be a quick preview of actually something that we're working on for the general season. Given the number of states that we're going into, we're planning to take a little bit of a regional approach that so each color corresponds to one region. This is simply for a community building aspect of our work. So before you get to actually travel, we usually state teams hold volunteer meetings and get-togethers, things of that nature, for our volunteers to learn how to get involved, what are the action pieces that they can get involved in. And having doesn't state trying to have 12, 13 different meetings each month is quite chaotic. So we're going to make it more simple for our volunteers, for you, to only have a handful of meetings, and it will be easier to just learn about all the different opportunities that we're offering in the general season. So don't worry too much about it for now, because this is going to be later in the year, around August, September, but this is kind of a small preview of that. Also, just to quickly mention, if anybody is ever interested to talk about specific races, candidates, things of that nature, why we're choosing one candidate or another, specific state or another, I'm more than happy to talk to anybody, either virtually or in person if you're in Seattle. So I will put my contact information in the chat in a second, but I'm more than happy to chat with any one of you who have specific questions about any of these elections. All right. And this is probably just to make things a little bit more clear and easier. If you're like, okay, there are 12 states, where do I go? Where's the most competitive elections? Which state matters the most? We have made 3 priorities. Pretty self-explanatory. Priority level 1 means they're the most competitive because they have elections that are competitive from the presidency all the way down to their state legislature. There's so much on the line in those states. And it goes down the levels. Level 3 does not mean those states are not important. They're not significant by any means. It just means that there's less on the line in the specific state. So if you want to take a screenshot of this for now to keep it, that's great, but we're going to share all of this. So do not worry to try to, write all this information down. All of this will be available on our website and will be sent out after this meeting as well.
This is also for folks that often have that question about who they should donate to. These are how we feel about the priority order of the states today. But if you're thinking about donating to anybody, please think of us as number 1. Ben. Oh, Puya, you got more here? Oh, great. Yeah.
Yep. So as I mentioned, this is our timeline for the primary season. So today we're going to launch Team North Carolina, Texas, and Ohio a little bit later on to give you more specific details how to get involved with them. Team Pennsylvania in a couple weeks in February, Team Nevada later on in March, and Wisconsin in May. The bigger square for each of those states is when they actually travel. So as you can see, there's about a 2 to 3 month gap between when the team actually start their activities and their kickoff, and by the time they travel and wrap up their activities. So this is just a snapshot of the year until September, essentially.
Wait,
And
Puya, stay on here for a second. Go back. Yeah. So one thing to note here is that if you've been with us in the past, you might have remembered that teams were more of like a year-round thing. Like we would stand people up and then like we would go all the way through the November election date, right? So there's the one big change this year is we've restructured teams and team leads to really be active when there is work to do, right? Which is like about 8 to 10 weeks from an election date. So that's either a primary election date or the general, which is why we've kind of like split our timelines into the primary season and the general season. So in this way, you as a volunteer have a lot more flexibility of doing work across the nation. You're not like married necessarily to a team, nor do you have to like feel like that you're stuck in one lane of work. So when Ohio primaries finish up, you might go and door knock in Nevada or phone bank in Wisconsin. So that's the kind of thinking there, which is a bit of a shift from previous years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also allows us to include more young folks on these teams as leads. They've got school commitments that change from quarter to quarter or semester to semester. And it allows us to bring in people that have maybe some availability in their job right now, and then won't maybe later in the year. And so we really are starting to be able to build more diverse team lead groups because the commitments are a little shorter. So this is a new innovation for CP.
Yep. So we're taking a similar approach in the general season as well. August is when we're going to have an event to launch all of our teams for the general election. And from mid-September all the way through election day, there will be traveling across the country. We do not have specific like when Team Arizona might be traveling in that window, but we know every single weekend there will be traveling. So in the document that we put earlier in the chat that we will put periodically, all of this is laid out with more details. All right, Maria.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. We have some work to do also here in our backyard. I'm really excited and honored to be doing this work at home. Some of you asked in the chat a little bit ago, like what's happening in Washington? And we as Common Power are going to be focusing in U.S. House District 3, supporting Representative Marie Gluesenkamp-Harris, who's actually going to be going against Joe Kent for that seat, and a new Republican who's just stepped up also, Leslie Lulin. And so we have some work to do there, some opportunity to register college students in that area. So we definitely have some work. So if you live there or have some connections there, please contact me. I'm happy to connect and see how we can work together to do some work in that district, in that congressional district. We'll also be, in that congressional district, we'll be working in District 17 and 18, most likely. So there's definitely some really good work to do there, and bring more recognition to Marie. And then there's going to be some work also. We're thinking about working in Yakima again. For those of you who joined me in Yakima, Eastern Washington this past year, it was such a great opportunity for us to do work there. We have some connections there already. So it's going to be an easier, I think, some really good work there as well, since we have those great connections. And we're just kind of waiting and seeing what's going to happen with Legislative District 15, because it has been kind of observed as one that has left out some Latino voters in a very very bad way. And so right now we're trying to see how the district lands, and hopefully if it's a positive outcome in the court, then we'll be able to do some really great work there to turn out Latino voters. And then if you want to go ahead and next one. Oh, I guess that was it. We're also going to be doing some other work in other parts of Washington, and stay tuned. Please, if you want to connect with me, feel free to email me, mj@commonpower.org. And also we'll be seeing each other for sure at events and other opportunities. Thanks, and looking forward to working with you all.
Hey, Maria, real quick,
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I missed it. Did you put the call for Spanish speaking volunteers?
I did not.
Okay.
Thank you for catching that. I have, some of you may or not may be familiar with Poder Común, which is a Spanish-speaking program here at Common Power that I run, and I'm very excited to continue to run this year in order to also be able to amplify voices of the Latinx community. As I mentioned in Yakima, this is what we did, the work that we did in 2023, and it was incredible. So if you are a Spanish speaker or have some Spanish speaking abilities or know of somebody who is a Spanish speaker, does not have to be Latino or identify as Latinx, but has interest in supporting that community and turning out those voters, I invite you to also email me for that. And there will be an event that I'm planning, actually, where I'll be having hopefully some panelists who have done this work with me in the past in Arizona and Texas and other places of the country that have a high Latino population. And so I'll be, stay tuned for that, but there's some information coming around trainings also. So thank you, Charles, for reminding me.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And our work in Washington State is evolving. We've kind of we stayed out of Washington State unless we've been asked to come into some place specific. We have started to build a relationship with the leader of the Dems here, brand new leader of the Dems, Shashti Conrad. I believe this first Southeast Asian leader of any Democratic Party in the country, which is really cool. She's a millennial also, so she's doing some new things there, and we're going to support her. So this is the beginning of the things that we'll be concentrating on. These are kind of obvious things, little easy, low-hanging fruit things, but we also are going to look at other places in the state where we can make an impact, possibly up near Bellingham, and then we're looking at the islands as well, possibly. So more to come there. Thanks, Maria.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Okay, y'all. This is gonna be a hard shift. So we
Is
just
it?
kind of like, I don't know, it feels like
Is it a
it.
really hard shift?
I don't know. Maybe let's find out. Let me know in the chat. Put it in the comments. But before, right, we were talking about what we're going to do. So like, what is the work that y'all be doing with us, right? This next section is a little bit about, or actually a lot about how we do it. So this is the CP election experience. And just to ride that in-person door knocking wave here, like it is geared towards travel, being with us on the ground, talking to voters live. Okay, let's get to it. So first, I want you to take a look at this equation. Just kind of like take it in for a little bit. You might have seen this before with some new additions. So fieldwork is the combination of voter engagement, political education, and leadership development. And we all kind of like know what voter engagement is. It's talking to voters, telling people how, where, when to vote, and who to vote for, right? At Common Power, we also weave in these two other elements. Political education, a lot of you came from the Institute, like Charles called out. That education continues while we're on the ground because you might have the history and the context, right, to bring you into action. But we also need to know what's being done right now. Who is making history right now? And how are we a part of it? So we learn from local experts about that, and we become better volunteers through it. And then leadership development, the young leaders that will guide us into the next age of civics is being cultivated at Common Power through Action Academy. They become team leads. They'll be leading you on the ground. And through that, like they get to hone their skills and practice that. And those two together is something we call Fieldwork Assembly. So this fieldwork equals voter engagement times political education plus leadership development is something that we tried out last year. And through that process, we've added this portion down here. So fieldwork times dialogue for democracy equals effective community. So something that we have known for a long time, but have grappled with and try to like problem solve and figure it out is what happens when you bring volunteers from all walks of life together. They will bring their differences, right? Both at face value, they look different, speak differently, think differently maybe, right? And then like maybe they even have different cultures or practices or habits across generation and across race. And what happens when you need to work across that difference? So we've kind of like tussle with that for years, actually, as long as we've done field work. And it's really only last year with the introduction of Dr. Devin Geary as well, that we've decided that we've thought about how it would be programmatically to include this in our fieldwork. So next year, no, not next year, my bad. This year, 2024, we are going to roll out specific programming called Dialogue for Democracy as a way to encourage community, to build community effectively. And that's really all I have for now because it's on its way. It's a pilot. It's gonna do its thing, and we will move forward with it.
So this is, I just want to highlight for folks, this is what makes us different. We're spending a lot of time talking about this, and for some of you, again, like I said in the beginning, came here just for the states and the dates. This is actually how we exist today. This is the reason why Common Power is, like I said, what I believe the preeminent organization for volunteering across the country in person, especially. It's because we focus on building community and education out in the field, virtually, leadership development with a lot of intent, working across race and age differences. That we've done this since the beginning, and we're better and better at it every year. And with the introduction intentionally of this dialogue piece, that's going to happen before folks go out in the field, and also a little bit during while we knock on doors. This is how people are able to knock on doors year in, year out, continue to volunteer, win elections, lose elections, and still come back and stay strong, we believe. This is how you sustain civic effort in America.
Yes. And to add on to that, and I'm going to answer this question in chat, if we utilize deep canvassing. So deep canvassing is for those of you who don't know, it's when you, it's a level beyond persuasion. It's when you sit down with people over time as a way to change minds, right? And really get to know them and all of that. We do not do that. So Common Power, so take a step back. That is best done with people in community, right? People who grew up in those communities, are from those communities, they're able to resonate with a voter in that way. Just simply because of our existence as out-of-state volunteers, we can't do that well. And we don't say that we do, right? However, what I will say is that we learn from those techniques and from that mindset of listening, of seeing where the voter's coming from as a way for us to engage with them while we're outdoors. And Dialogue for Democracy is not just about how volunteers work together across difference. It's also about how a volunteer talks to a voter across difference. So these techniques about communicating across difference is applicable in a lot of situations while out in fieldwork. All right. But I'm actually going to let people who have been out there, who will lead you out there, actually speak to this experience. So we're going to, I'm going to call on some of our team leads, past, present, and future, to kind of talk to these different elements about what makes our fieldwork different. So, Vanessa, you here?
Sure am.
All right. All right, Vanessa. This is Vanessa. She was a team lead in Team Virginia. I'll let her introduce herself, of course, but she's also currently a team lead for North Carolina. All right. Do you
Hi,
mind speaking to
Vanessa.
this? Yes.
Yeah, so if you haven't traveled with us before, the days are long, but they're very fun. So we get started not early in the morning, but on the earlier side of things. We usually have breakfast either together as a group or individually, kind of up to you. We'll get started with, a meeting before we hit the, wow, I'm blanking on the word, before we hit the turf. That's the word. Before we hit the turfs for the day. We usually have lunch in groups, either with your car or you can meet up with other people as well. Hit more turfs after lunch and then have a debrief together. So there's a lot of opportunities throughout the day for community building with the people in your car, but also when you're at meals and meetings with each other. So while we're actually on the ground knocking on doors, that still isn't even isolating because you're with your team. You're very much together, having fun, raising each other's morale the entire day, which is so important to this work because, you can get so much more done when you feel positive. And that's such a big part of the CP community too. So of course, days of the week are not exact and everyone's travel times are going to be a little bit different depending on the team. But generally we'll arrive on a Thursday or Friday. We'll work on Saturday, Sunday, maybe Monday, especially before the election, and then head home. And through that whole time, there are opportunities again to engage with each other as a community, to learn more and the field work and hear from experts that have been brought in from CP. So whether that's hearing from candidates or people from the organization that we're working with, or just people speaking about history in America, that could range like all over the place. But the events are so interesting and helpful and really help you connect a little bit more to the work and why you're doing it, and especially the location that you're in. You really get to learn so much more and deepen, your connection with each other, with the work, and why we're doing it. So travel timelines vary a lot, but you can expect to have a lot of fun and make new friends and feel like you're making a big difference on the ground.
I love it. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Giving a little bit of a teaser to what to expect when you're out there with the team. All right. Moving forward, we might pivot. Like, Sam, are you here? I know like your connection is spotty, so we might come back to you if that's the case. All right. We're gonna move forward just a little bit, and then we'll get back to Sam if he comes back. So, Nathania?
Hi, I'm Nathania.
Hi.
I'm
Yeah,
from
so
Georgia. So a lot of us know that CP aims to work cross-generationally and cross-race. So when we do go canvassing and we knock on doors, there's a lot of different ages and backgrounds. And we're not just canvassing and talking to voters, but
wait,
we're
hold on, girl. Sorry. Can
Oh,
you
my
introduce
so
yourself?
sorry.
Like, who are you? Who are you?
Hi guys. I'm Nathania. I'm a college student from Atlanta, Georgia. I started with Action Academy and then I was a team lead for Virginia this fall, and now I'm gonna be a team lead for Ohio. Was that good? Thank you. So let me start over. But yeah, a lot of us know that CP aims to work generationally and cross race. So when we are on the field, there's a lot of different ages and backgrounds. And while we're canvassing and talking to voters, we're also building connections and building bridges amongst all the groups at the same time. And initially, you wouldn't think that you could like naturally make connections and bonds with someone like a lot older or younger than you. But I think with canvassing with Common Power, I've learned a lot. And I think my favorite question to ask is, oh, tell me your life story. Because usually like people that have lived a lot of years have a lot to say. So they'll go on for like an hour and just tell you like everything they did. So it's really interesting. Because I don't have as much to say, I just like went to school. But I think through all of these interactions, we definitely build a lot of like mutual understanding and empathy. And overall, this makes the team stronger. But generally, when we are door knocking, all these types of groups are mixed up and we knock in pairs to make sure that people are comfortable in the neighborhoods they're in, the people that they're with, because at the end of the day, safety is first. So this includes that we'll all look out for each other and on and off the ground, because we're all here with the same mission, wanting to make positive change. But yeah, that's what it's like door knocking with CP. Thank you.
I love it. Okay. Also, you have more to say than just I went to school. I'm just gonna call that out there. Someone should ask Nathania, what's your life story, right? Like fire that back against her. She has a lot. It's really cool. So I'm gonna stay on the slide just a little bit, just to add context here.
Wait,
So
are we gonna? Nathania's gonna try to leave. I just want to make sure before Nathania leaves. Nathania is one of our Action Academy grads. Every summer we have some folks who are brand new to us are kind of looking at young folks here and like, how'd they get here? We have a program called Action Academy. It launches every summer, and 100 or so of them come and they become a part of the volunteer group in the fall. And it's one of the coolest things that happens in this organization. And Nathania is one of those high flyers who I don't know if you knew you'd be doing this work, but I know you took some convincing. So well done tonight. Thanks for joining us.
yeah. So exactly like Nathania said, right? Like we go to doors in pairs, but as soon as you might get comfortable, day 2, day 3, you might like try to do across the road from each other, hopscotch each other. There's all of these like things we call turf tactics, where like we're trying to, talk to voters, go through doors and turfs, but also do in a way where we can see each other, hear each other. And when it's really comforting just to look down the road and you just see someone in the same shirt as you, and they're there, right? Your partner's there, we got your back. So next slide, please, Puya. And here are just like some examples of that in terms of photos. There's a Thanya right there, like kind of showing Rowan, another one of our Gen Zers, the ropes. Look at that. Like, this is how you do it, So identity really matters when we are out in the field. So we try to, not only mix people up for community building reasons, but also because we understand that like how you look when you approach a voter, like massively impacts the interaction. And there's a lot for us to learn with each other about how to approach that. So we go through all of that during training as well, if you're curious. Okay. Sam, last call for Sam.
I don't think he has.
I don't think Sam's here. The person
Oh,
unmuting
damn.
is Susan. I think that's Susan, not Sam.
Okay.
It's
All
okay.
good.
I think
Yeah,
you're delivering it.
Yeah.
We're about at the hour here. This is due to be an hour and a half.
Mhm.
Are you going to speak to this slide, or can we keep going? I think we keep
I
going.
want to just do 30 seconds here because I think it really like highlights Vanessa's point about it's fun, y'all. It's actually fun. We do work, but it's fun. We don't just like spend 8 hours without breaks, without drinks, without nothing, just talking to voters, like mowing down doors, right? We take the time to learn. You'll see some of us here at monuments, speaking to panelists, learning from historians, right? People who are like spearheading civic engagement in their state, or just like dancing, just like wilding out with a candidate, because that's what it takes to do this work. You also have to enjoy doing it, and you also have to have fun, because that's how you'll come back year after year. Okay.
Well, yeah, let me just be clear. You don't have to dance like in this picture, okay?
That's true.
You can kind of just rest, you can bob your head a little bit. This dance is not a requirement. But these pictures show the other part of the equation that was on that one page that had leadership development and political education in there, some community building to mash it all together. These are Virginia and Georgia and Wisconsin in there. This is the stuff we do to keep us grounded in the place where we are, so that it's not this transactional thing. So it's not just about the election, it's about the people who live there. And I will tell you, this makes all the difference with our partner organizations on the ground, and they tell us so. Okay.
Yeah. All right, we move forward with that. Okay.
Ready to go.
Ready to
people are
go.
ready to go.
Yeah, they are, but not to leave the Zoom, right? Because that would mean that like you didn't like us, Just kidding. You're ready to go to a state to talk to volunteers. Let's go. Okay. So someone dropped into the chat that document again, the volunteer travel guide. And so this is like this table is taken from that doc. The document itself will have more robust information, but here's the important part with terms of dates, right? For calendar purposes, we have the election dates and we have our travel dates. And these are for primary elections. So you can take a screenshot of this. This is like, of course, recording and come back to it. You can look at the document, but I'm not going to go through states one by one. What I will say though is some of you on here like are also aware that like Wisconsin might be traveling in March as well. Like we'll be traveling in March. Dates TBD at the moment. We need to still talk with our partner. But so that March trip is to work for local elections, and really it's more about connecting with voters ahead of the election. Wisconsin's actual primary is in August, which is the formal primary that we're funneling volunteers into. The March trip is it's a special carry operation. So, and Carrie is more than welcome to, is more than willing.
It's a special team Wisconsin operation.
Yes, that's right. is one of those touches, right? That like gets people to the polls. So, but just so you know, the reason why it's not on formal documents or stuff like that is because we have other primaries that we're going into around the same time, March and April. And the actual primary for Wisconsin is in August. Just to clarify any confusion there in the crowd. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So here's the fun part. Let's say that like you're in school or you know you have
I sent
or-
an email and they emailed me back.
Oh, cool. So yeah, say that like you're in school or like you have family or whatever, and you really can only like come out for a weekend or two, maybe three, and you want to do it during the fall. This is what we're looking at here. We don't have exact dates for which states are traveling when. That will come later on. But what I can say confidently is that we will begin traveling mid-September. And every weekend, somebody will be somewhere. Like a state will be traveling every weekend, right? If dates are what really matter most to you, I would say block out a weekend or two or more, and just like have that on hand. And the dates here from the 31st to the 6th, really is like when like we're pushing the hardest, especially in states that we prioritize the most. So if you can only spare 1 week, right, out of the entire year, this is it. November 5th is election date. Okay. All right. And as Vanessa was saying, we usually do trips over the weekend. So just kind of budget in plus or minus a day, right? Thursday, Friday to maybe Tuesday, Wednesday kind of thing. All right. What are we doing here, y'all? What's next steps? Okay. 1, you need to join a state team. Okay, so we're going to drop the links to join these different teams into the chat. Right now, there's only 3 teams that are active because of like the election cycle in that calendar. It's North Carolina, Texas, and Ohio. And you can click on this Mobilize link, join the group, and expect to get email communications from your team leads shortly about how else to get involved, signups, and all of that. And you have your beautiful team leads here from Team North Carolina. Anyone want to just jump in real quick? Vanessa, I know you talked. If you want to come in again, Rowan, Sam, if you're here.
Yeah, I'll jump in. So we are still waiting to find out exactly where we're going to be in North Carolina, but we do have our partner on the ground figured out, waiting to hear back which candidates we're supporting. All of that will be updated as soon as we know. But all of our dates for meetings are figured out. So if you join our Mobilize page, you'll be on the know for everything that's to come. And we'd love to have you there. It'll be a really fun trip. So please sign up for Team North Carolina.
All right. Okay, and then Team Texas, our team leads as well. For Team Texas, we do know the location and the dates. If that's what you're focused on, we're going to be in McAllen, down by the border. And travel dates are the same as North Carolina, from the 1st to the 6th. And again, same process. Join the link. You'll find out more. Is Olivia or Elizabeth on call if you want to hop on?
Sure, I can hop in.
Hey.
And I'll also hi guys, I'm Olivia, and I'll also just introduce myself. Like Nathania, I was also part of Action Academy. I was a student, I think for the 22 cohort, and then I joined this past summer for the 23 cohort as a crew lead. So that was really exciting and a rewarding experience. I've done 2 elections. I've gone on 2 elections as a volunteer. One was in Virginia and then the other was Wisconsin. And so I think it's really also exciting to join to further, I think, my work with CP as a team lead now in Texas. And I've never been in Texas before either, so it'll definitely be new. But so for the election though happening, we will be supporting Michelle Vallejo, which was she's running against another Democratic candidate for the primary, and we believe that she has a very good chance of winning. And I think why this election also matters and is because the congressional district 15 was a Democratic seat for decades, and it was just flipped in 2022. And so we need your support in the primary to push her so then we can win the general election for the seat. And yeah, so please join the Mobilize US link.
Beautiful. All right.
Impressive. My goodness.
Yes.
Olivia, as soon as you popped up on the Zoom, people like I got like there's somebody was like, I miss Olivia.
That's so sweet. I mean, like we've already talked about this, but the trips really you do get to like make such good connections with I think all different kinds of people, and especially during the door knocking experience, that's when you kind of have like those really good meaningful conversations with like the other volunteers in your group while you're growing peers. So I love field work here, so I'm just very excited.
Really happy to have you back in action. This is good. Glad you're going to Texas. It's going to be fun.
All right, and then Team Ohio. Okay, so we also know the dates and the location for Team Ohio as well. We're going to be in Columbus and traveling the 15th through the 20th. So if you want to jot that down, kickoff meeting as well, sign up, same as other teams, right? And if Alex or Nathania or Carrie wants to jump in here if you're on call, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, hi, this is Carrie. Sorry, I'm off camera. So fun fact, about 10 years ago, I lived in Columbus, Ohio for a few years. So I have a really good network of people there. It is a really great place for CP to land because while Ohio is very difficult and we need to nail down Ohio, Columbus is very warm to our message. And so I think that we could be really successful there. I'm really looking forward to leading the team there and working with Nathania and Alex to get our volunteers on the ground.
Welcome back, Carrie. Carrie used to lead Team Georgia in 2022, FYI.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Next slide, please, Plia.
Just a quick point.
Oh, yeah.
All of these slides have like this kickoff meeting when they're scheduled. It's going to be next week for each of these states. If you join these state teams on Mobilize, you will automatically get a notification about these first meetings. But if you're like, I don't want to do that, we can just go on our website. They're on our calendar under events. You can find all of these kickoff meetings coming up as well. So the links, the Zoom links, all those things will be there. Do not worry about jotting things down quickly.
Hey,
And
on
real
that point, note to the fieldwork team, let's set up a kickoff, probably multiple kickoff dates for Washington State, Maria. Like one separate for Vancouver and then a separate one for Yakima whenever we get those
For
started.
the mobilized links?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would make sense to do the different locations for sure.
Yeah. Because people are excited. You see the chat? It's blowing up with Washington.
Yeah.
Great.
Whoop, whoop. Okay.
So, and then another note here, these times are in Pacific Standard Time. And you'll see that too on the events and the calendar, Mobilize stuff. But good to keep in mind. All right. So, okay. And step 2, you need to attend volunteer training if you haven't already. Every year we update the contents, and I'll let Maria carry on.
Yeah, we have definitely. Oh, there they are. Look at them. They're so beautiful. I am super excited to be hosting these trainings in the beginning of the year with my fellow awesome colleague, Jessica. But as we continue through the year, you will see new faces because we're hoping that some of you will join us as volunteer trainers. Shout out to the ones that we had last year. Incredible, amazing. We hope that they return to us as well. Check your emails. Anyway, so I'm really excited to do this again. We'll be having our volunteer training 101, volunteer training 102, and these are different types of training. So the volunteer training 101 is really about what do you expect when you go travel with us on the ground? Like, what does it look like to volunteer in general with fieldwork? And what does it look like? And so we'll have more information about what can you expect when you're field working with us. And then volunteer training 102 is it's a guide, like you see it there, a guide to voter engagement. Some of you had really, really great questions tonight about how do we talk to voters? How do we engage with certain voters? This is the kind of information you can get there, kind of tactics on based on our experiences of the doors. So it's really, really unique to how we work with at Common Power and what experiences we've encountered on the ground with different organizations in different states. And then Volunteer Training 103 is really going to be about you've decided to travel, you're ready, let's get going. It's really about this is what you can expect on the ground. This is what you can expect from the moment that you sign up on a team. What does it feel like to continue that process, that journey with the team that you've chosen up until the time that you're traveling? So these are the 3 amazing volunteer trainings that we have available. Like I mentioned, the first one actually, I want to give a little shout out to Jessica and I, because we're excited to host our very first Volunteer Training 101 of 2024 this upcoming January 25th. So that's next week, next Thursday. So please join us. The Mobilize links are on our website already. So you should be able to get in to sign up and register on those already. So Volunteer Training 101 is starting next week on Thursday, and we'll have all 3 throughout February. So look out for those.
Yeah, let me just say the plug for 101. If you maybe have friends that you think would be interested in doing this work with us, that's a really good place for them to start. If they've never heard of us at all, they can go there, get a feel for who we are and how we're different.
Yeah, and some of the elements that we kind of spoke about tonight will be included in that, specifically around just what it feels like to volunteer with Common Power. So thank you.
Yeah, so let's stay on this slide for a little bit because I want to talk to one part of Fieldwork that we didn't give a lot of attention to today, which is like the stuff that's not in person door knocking and travel, right? So we do still do phone banks and text banks and postcarding. And the way that you're going to learn more about that is to attend training or navigating our website, because that stands as more of like a an autonomous kind of like thing, right? Where you just kind of do it solo or like with someone you know. But if you want to know, like, how do I connect with voters, not just in person, but over the phone, if you have any technical issues, if you're like wondering, like, where should I put my efforts? Because there's a lot out there when it comes to like remote opportunities, then training is like where you would get those answers and those resources. So, all right. Okay. Next slide. All right, step 3, y'all. Be a part of our community. And there's a little bit more about that. We've heard so much about people about what that's like on the ground, but this year we're going to do more stuff like for virtually as well with events, and then a teaser that's kind of come up. So I've seen some questions and comments in the chat about like, what about this team? What about these team leads? What if I want to be a team lead? Well, here you go. We're calling for team leads. If you're interested and like what it's like to lead volunteers on the ground, be a part of this process with us in a more involved role, please email fieldwork@commonpower.org. I'm gonna drop it into the chat. It's very fieldwork@commonpower.org. All right. And just to kind of express your interest, and then we'll follow up with you about that. We have team leads so far for primary states, but we're always looking for bench, and we definitely need you all for the general because you've seen that map. There's a lot of states, y'all. So we're looking for people early. If you know anyone who might be interested as well, please reach out to us. All right. So the other thing is that phone bank leads, remote opportunities. Actually, no, Jessica.
Hey.
Hey. All right, you want to take this? Jessica's going to be the one who's leading our volunteer lead, so you'll be most in contact with her if you want to be in a more involved role. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben kind of went over it, but we are looking for phone bank leads this year. Basically, we want to make sure that, you know, you guys are getting that community time with each other, getting to know other volunteers who are doing this work together. So we are starting back up our community phone bank sessions, and, you know, we need people to help us lead them. You know, the Fieldwork team is very spread out this year. So we are looking for volunteers who want to, you know, step up and kind of get the community together. And I actually want to plug our first community phone bank session is going to be next week on the 23rd on Tuesday from 2:30 to 3 o'clock Pacific time. And me and Nathania actually will be co-hosting that event. But yeah, we are looking for phone bank leads, and it'd be really great if, you know, you want to take a stab at it. It's great. It's fun.
Wait, keep going, girl. Volunteer trainers?
Oh, sorry. I thought we were just looking at phone bank leads. Okay, in addition to that, we are actually looking for so many different roles and different people. And so in addition to phone banking, because we are having volunteer trainings up for the rest of the year, we are looking for people to help us out, help us lead trainings, help us guide other people through travel, what it looks like, what it means to do fieldwork with Common Power. We had a really awesome team help us out last year, and we're hoping to come back, but we also could use more. I think this year we're updating the content and we're getting a lot more people involved this year, and so we can really use the support. And the last one for Slack, I will actually throw back to Ben.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, I was gonna say, all right, cool. We actually can move to the next slide because here we go. Special preview for you all attending today. We are going to slowly, in phases, roll out volunteer Slack. And those of you who were with us in previous years might remember commonpower.io as our community platform. There's been some internal acquisitions and changes to that platform, which makes it a little bit hard to use as well. So now we're transitioning into volunteer Slack. And this is like the hub where people, where you all can share stories, tips, tricks, really support each other. Maybe you need a buddy to go to phone banking sessions with. Maybe you're trying to figure out travel logistics, right? Like if you want to split a hotel room, who's flying when, stuff like that. So it's gonna be it's right now in beta testing, and hopefully we'll have it fully out and ready for volunteers to engage with each other before summer, around spring and summer. All right, but that means that we're also looking for moderators or community guides. If you're interested in being a resource for your fellow volunteers, please also reach out to fieldwork@commonpower.org. I want to drop the email into the chat one more time. Thank you. And we'll follow up with you then. Our community manager, Our community manager, Kylie Knowles, will be taking point on this, and you'll be working closely with her as well. All right. So that is volunteer Slack and our community virtually. Okay. I think that's the last slide.
I think this is a record. We finished 12 minutes early, Charles.
Oh my goodness.
12 minutes early.
That's a record.
Somebody here out of the 150 folks who are here think that we're 20 minutes over. But it's all good. It's all good. It was a lot of information. I hope that everyone got the piece that they were looking for. Let's take a look at the chat and see if we answered all the questions. I see that we started with Jessica and MJ doing most of the Q&A here, and then Carrie George came in the 11th inning, and it was that's all she wrote. That's great. I love it. Thank you, Carrie. Greg wants to dance. I thought you left, Greg. Is Greg still here?
I stayed.
Okay, he might be gone. I just wanted to give a shout out to Greg. Greg lives in Texas. Greg does a lot of organizing work.
He's here. Sorry, I had to say that.
Is he here?
He said I stayed. He's here.
Greg does a lot of organizing work in Texas, and then when the great state can spare him, we have him come out with us to states all over the country. He's in a bunch of our pictures. He's the reason why we have so many great pictures actually in some of these places. Greg, were you excited to go knock on doors this year, man?
So I like the idea of Montana.
Okay.
And Nevada, of course, for sure.
Okay.
And then all the help we can get down here in Texas. Let's rock and roll.
Yes. We're starting in McAllen, but we're gonna go into the big cities, man. We're coming to your neck of the woods. Okay.
Right on.
Yeah. So that map that we have, that'll go on the website, and it'll also become more specific. So we definitely are going to Montana to support John Tester. We're going to Nevada because Nevada is a blue state now. I'm just going to say that Nevada is a blue state. Their voting laws are great in Nevada. My goodness. And Texas is, it's a blue state with a bunch of voter suppression in it, right? That's what my friend Greg says. So many states like that in this country with terrible, terrible voting laws, and getting the right people in office is the start. Colin Allred's gonna get us further, maybe in Texas. We'll see. Any other questions in the chat that Fieldwork staff has seen that we should kind of vocalize for the good of the order for everyone here?
Yes, and ask about team leads on other states. If anybody is interested to be a team lead in the general season, please just email us at fieldwork@commonpower.org. And we will follow up with you with the next steps if you're interested to learn more or to become a team lead. I will put that email in the group in the chat again. But if you're interested in a team lead position, just email us. We will follow up.
Yeah, and we'll make sure when we'll follow up this event with an email to everybody. I think on top of that email is a link to that Google Doc and then a reminder of the Fieldwork email so that people can just say, "Hey, I'd like to do this thing," or "I have a question about this thing."
Yep, exactly. And it'll have the links that we shared in the chat as well with like the Mobilize links and all of that. So don't feel as if you're missing this. And also a link to the recording if you want to come back to this as well. And it'll be uploaded on YouTube. So to kind of like tag along to that question that Puya pointed out about how do you get involved with teams that are not in existence yet, right? So because we're standing up teams as needed, like as they become active, states like Montana, for example, or states that we're going to launch in the general election, we will not have information about until August, like around August, July, August, September, simply because like that's like when we'll become active. So we're not going to plan that far out and like not have work for you all to do, right? So those of you who are interested in states that we're not going to for the primaries, just sit tight until we're there in July, August, September. And then we'll most likely have an event just like this, right, where we kick off the general season, and that's when you'll have more information about all of that. And you're welcome to do stuff in other states too, if you want to do your thing in Nevada while you're waiting for Montana, right? Like, we'll love to have you.
Yeah, we need help everywhere. More
Hey,
questions.
There's a handful of people who have trouble with how to sign up on mobilize.us. I think I can just share my screen if that's okay to show
Let's do it.
folks.
Let's do it.
All right.
You gotta
So
speak up though for me, man. I think we have to turn your microphone volume up. I think that might be it.
I think there's something wrong with my mic with this new
Yeah, we're gonna
laptop.
buy Puya a new laptop right after this.
Or
All
we
right.
can just buy him a microphone.
Show us your
Or-
screen, man.
Yes. So here is our Common Power Mobilize page, just generally. The link that Jessica has been putting in the chat multiple times will lead you to this page. All right. It has all of our events, whether it's remote, in person, whatever it may be, community, everything with CP will be here with Fieldwork. If you just scroll down a little bit, just a tiny bit, you will see the states. If you want to join, you can just click on them. If you want to see more details, you can click here. It will show you more details. So if you are interested to learn about all of the events, you just keep going down. These are ordered by priority and also the date that they're coming up. So very easy to use. Just click on the link that Jessica's put in the chat. You can scroll, you can learn about all these new events that we have going on. And if you want to sign up.
Slow down, man. Slow down.
All right. It's over groups for our teams.
Okay, so really quickly, so this website, I want to say, if you're just a volunteer who wants to be active year round, presidential election or not, this is a great tool. Common Power or not, if you have a state that you're 100% committed to and you just want to find work for that state, mobilize.us is just a great tool for looking up what people are doing in that state. And so as we get closer to the elections, these candidates will also start to form up a bunch of stuff. It's going to be so many different options in there. It'll be overwhelming. Common Power is going to help to curate those. So we will not regurgitate what's on there. We are going to pick the ones that we think are the most effective and support our partnerships on the ground and our door knocking. And we'll also highlight the ones where we're going to wrap community around the phone banks as much as possible too. Some of that's going to be virtual community stuff that we'll do. Others will be, I think, you know, they used to do this back in the day, but phone banking in person. Some of the young people don't know what that is, but back in the day, you would get in a room with phones and you'd have paper with names and phone numbers.
Excuse me.
And
I know
you
what that
called them
is.
one at a time.
Sorry.
Oh, you know? Okay. All right. I was just explaining because
I know what that is as well.
And
I
we'll be
do you,
using
Sam?
rotary.
Wow, Charles. Wow. Just kidding.
Sam, we found Sam.
Yes, Sam is back.
We miss you, man. All right.
Oh, wait, yeah, so I'm sure my team already introduced themselves, but since I'm here, may I?
Yeah, can we see you?
Yes, yes.
All right, all right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Sam. I am a team leader for Team North Carolina. So nice to see all of you. For those I haven't met yet, I look forward to meeting you. Yeah.
Can you tell us about yourself?
Yes, I am from South Carolina. I got involved in Common Power in, let's see, oh my gosh, that was 2021? Yeah, I got involved in Common Power in 2021. A small team came to South Carolina for a special election that I was working on at the time. And I met Marcy, and she volunteered me to sign up for Action Academy. And it was probably like the best decision I've ever made. And I've been kicking it with Common Power ever since.
And I just want to give a shout out. Sam has been honored by Rep. Clyburn in the state. He is one of the top student leaders on the Democratic side in South Carolina. And Joe Biden even had to come make a stop with Sam and take a picture because he was passing through. And when you pass through South Carolina, you have to pay respects to Sam Grant. So kudos for that, Sam.
Thank you. I'm gonna just go die internally off screen.
Thank you. We appreciate you, man. We appreciate you. Chuck. Over to you, Chuck. That was just a random Chuck. Whatever you got. I saw you were unmuted, so I was just. Oh, you're muted now. Hold on. Who locked his mute? Who did that? Puya. Yeah, you're good now, Chuck. You're good.
Hey guys. No, Charles, I didn't have anything to say. I'm all good.
Really? You just
Yeah.
wanted to unmute to kind of like breathe the air differently with the group, right?
I was gonna make a wisecrack to MJ, but the moment's gone.
Okay. All right. We're gonna find you another moment. Okay, we're gonna keep talking, and when you feel it, you just jump in. Okay, man.
Charles?
Jim.
Yeah, I just put a little note in the chat. I probably can talk to you, or you can tell me who to talk to. I noticed you guys do some partnering with Third Act in Washington, and I'm on the state coordinating committee for Third Act here in Illinois. We're getting up to about 1,000 members, and we're having our coordinating committees meeting in Chicago in a couple of weeks. We want to beef up our political action and looking for partners who can lead us in doing that. We know we need to be doing supporting work like in Wisconsin and related states since Illinois is so blue. So anyway, I'd love to talk to somebody about if there's any interest or how we would go about connecting. We got as like I said, we're up to about 1,000 members in Illinois, and I just if there was a way to connect to let you guys help us figure out how to be most effective
Totally
in different ways in your work, in our work.
Totally. Jacques, are you still on the call? We had he's on the board for the Washington State version of Third Act, actually, but I think he might have hopped off. Jacques or Polly.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can connect you two actually, so you can compare notes. That'd be a cool thing. But when is it? Is that a virtual or in-person event?
In Chicago, it's in person.
In person. Oh, you're gonna make me come out to Chicago. I
Are
think we
you-
really want to do that. Jessica wants to go to school in Chicago, so I think we're
Well,
gonna have
I'll
to
be
make
there
that
in
Chicago.
March. Let's meet up. I'll be there.
Yeah,
I was
we
gonna
know.
say, yeah.
Yeah, so far most of our work has been obviously divestiture and democratizing energy and all that. But given the timing, we felt like we had to beef up our strengthening democracy component, and we know we won't be the lead dog in that. We're just looking for good partners to help us
Totally.
figure out how to mobilize our membership in whatever way would be helpful in the
Totally.
coming election. Yeah.
Yes, we are. We will be there in one way or another. Gene, thanks for coming. Charlie, thanks for coming. Yeah, we want to come to Chicago. Let's sync up on timing on that. Chicago is important for us, and we have one more thing launching very soon that we think folks all around the country are going to love. In addition to what we just talked about with teams and traveling, there's a way for you all to start taking action together. And that will be announced very soon, led by one Jessica, soon to be Jessica, the Chicagoan. Anybody else with questions?
Brian has his hand up. Thank you so much for being patient with us.
As
Thank you.
Charles calls on everybody else.
Since we're all here, and I really don't want people to think too much about this, more of a gut check. You know, they always say it's about the economy. I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I want to know if you all agree with me, the one single most important issue that should come to mind when we talk to people is women's rights, women's choice. And I hope you all agree with me, because I think that's the one distinguishing issue. It defines who we are as a Democratic Party and who we are as individuals when we believe in our Constitution. Thank you.
I love that, Brian. Look at you. You're gonna get some fans just coming out of the gate. The first time we've heard you here, and I think you got a lot of fans. I will tell you this. It is more than just belief or faith without evidence. I think that the thing that political history, like recent history, has shown us is that women's rights is the key to winning this election in the fall. It has been the reason why the other side is losing. It is the reason why you've seen movement in Ohio and Kansas, these red states, why the governor of Kentucky, the Democrat, won by a larger margin this time around, why Virginia, why the Democrats took back the House and the Senate and kept the Senate. You're seeing it everywhere. There's a sea change going on, and we see it at the doors. We see it at the doors when we go and we knock on a door, and the husband is not the person that we are being assigned to talk to. It's the wife, because the smart people who target these doors know that the women of America are fed up, and the people who want to reproduce and have that freedom and control over their bodies are fed up with someone telling them what to do. Chuck, right? Chuck is ready to go.
You just said exactly what I was going to say, but it's the number one topic that comes up at the doors by far. And I've been on 4 or 5 trips since the Supreme Court decision, and that's what people want to talk about. That's what motivates voters. And so you're 100% spot on. It's what we need to keep hammering home.
That's right. Oh, Greg's ready. Oh, he put his hand down. Okay. All right.
Somebody else has their hand first.
No, you're up next, man. That was Chuck.
No, I was just gonna say, you know, the conversation at the ground kind of changes from neighborhood to neighborhood, and what they did for us in Virginia was really utilize where we can maximize our effectiveness, I guess we could say. And I just commend all you guys because you've been doing a lot of moving parts and logistic stuff and getting it done. So I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Greg, thanks for having our backs out there in the field over and over again, man. It makes a huge difference that you're out there. We appreciate you. Miss Faye, how you doing? How we doing tonight, Miss Faye?
I'm doing wonderful.
What'd you think? What'd you think of the show tonight?
Outstanding. Outstanding.
That's
I've
great.
already signed up. I've already signed up for Team Ohio.
Hey, all right, all right.
Yeah, yeah. Quick question though. You may have talked about this earlier because I was at dinner earlier. What's our plan for the 3rd district in New York special election in February?
You know what? Someone dropped that in the chat, and I was
I
excited
did.
to see something. Was that you?
Yeah.
We're going. We're going. Are you kidding me? Do you know how many times I saw him on TV thinking, as soon as he is gone, I am there. I am
Okay.
there. All right. If it's just me, I'm there. So of course, everybody else was saying the same thing. So now everybody wants to go. But here's the other thing. We actually did some preemptive work for New York because we're a little sophisticated over here at CP. So what we're gonna do is, instead of having a bunch of people flying to New York, there are so many people in New York already who are excited to
Good.
knock on doors there. We're gonna
Good.
send a few people there to mobilize the folks there on the ground. Because here's the funny thing: when me and Ben and Puya sat with one of the 501c4 organizations on the ground there, they met with us and we told them, hey, we're here because we know about the seat is going to open up and we want to come help you all. And he said, I need to tell you all, we really appreciate this and understand that for New Yorkers to hear that people from Seattle are coming to help, we are thoroughly embarrassed. We are so embarrassed that this blue stronghold in New York needs help from Seattle. They've been humbled. Are there any New Yorkers here right now? You can chime in and speak for yourself. But the folks in New York are so humiliated by this. There's gonna be so many people in there knocking on doors. I'm going so I can have a front row eating popcorn as we win this seat back. But if there's any New Yorkers here, anybody who knows anybody in New York and can just tell us how New York feels about losing the house for us, feel free to pop in. Hey, Chuck, you're gonna say bye, man?
Bye.
That's it?
That's it. Come out to Pennsylvania. I'll be in Pennsylvania. I'll be one of the team leads there. So come on out and join us in Pennsylvania.
Okay,
Right.
Chuck is usually more verbose than this, and I just, it's probably the season. He's probably got an illness or something, but
No, we're 10 minutes over, Charles.
Oh, is it because we're over? Are you giving us the hook?
No. But
Chuck, we're just getting started. We're gonna actually this is like round 2. See, with 68 people left. This is when the real content rolls out. Okay, we're waiting.
So this is
first 90 minutes.
This is like when we would stop the recording, right? This is like when we would stop the recording and we do a little teaser. It's like, you're missing so much. You should have stayed. And
That's
boom,
right.
recording
That's
paused.
right.